Good evening children, welcome to Turito, the school foundation program. I am your chemistry teacher. In the previous class we have discussed about the fundamental particles, electron discovery, proton discovery, neutron discovery. As you know that the J.J. Thomson carried out the cathode ray tube experiment, and in that discharge tube experiment they have taken a gas, a low potential is applied and a high voltage is applied across the two terminals of the metal rods which are kept in the discharge tube, and as soon as the high voltage of 10 to the power of 4 voltage is applied across the discharge tube or the two metal plates, the gas that is present inside got ionized, and because of that in that process some particles are generated, and he observed that the particles are moving from the cathode towards the anode. Since they are started from cathode, he named them as cathode rays, and once they reach the anode, that is to say that here the anode is the electrode which is connected to the positive terminal of the battery, that is to say that these particles are attracted towards the anode, indicates that these particles are having some negative charge, and Stoney has named them as electrons, and the electron charge was found and mass was found. Mulliken does the experiment in calculating the charge of the electron, and the E by M ratio was, the specific charge was calculated by J.J. Thomson, and using the Mulliken value and his own E by M value, J.J. Thomson was successfully calculated the mass of the electron. We know all those things, the values we have taken already, right. So after the discovery of electron, scientists thought that there must be a positive particle should present in the same discharge tube experiment. They have observed this particle presence, whether it is a electron or whether it is a positively charged particle. The presence of these particles can be known only by using some zinc sulfide coatings, that is fluorescent materials. So they have used the fluorescent material, and thereby as soon as these particles come and hit the fluorescent material, a spark is produced. So the spark production is due to some particles. So they came to know that something is coming from that side. Okay. Similarly, the Goldstein done his experiment, and thereby he came to know that some of the rays are moving from anode to cathode, and therefore he named them as anode rays. They are also known as cathode canal rays. Okay. And here the nature of the positively charged particle that are going to be produced will depend on the nature of the gas that we are going to employ. Okay. And whereas in the case of electrons, the nature of the electrons does not depend upon the gas that is employed in the discharge tube experiment, and therefore they have gone and observed that these particles, the values, E by M ratio value is changing, and E by M value is coming out to be highest for hydrogen gas, and the corresponding positively charged particle they named it as proton. Okay. And the proton value, electron charge value is given as a positive sign with respect to that of the electron, and the mass was calculated. Generally when you observe, the mass of the proton is more when compared with the mass of the electron, and of course neutrons, they does not have any charges, so their discovery took a lot of time, and after so many years the neutron was discovered. It is because of the neutral nature associated with the neutron. Okay. So when you compare the charges, masses and specific charge of electron and proton, you can clearly observe in this particular table. So this is what we have discussed in the previous class. Just I want to remind you some of the informations from this particular table with respect to the electron, proton and neutron. So mass of electron is generally taken as 1 by 1837, whereas the mass of proton and mass of neutron are taken as 1. This is relative mass. Okay. And charge of electron and charge of proton, if you observe, charge of electron is taken as -1, whereas charge of proton is taken as +1, and there is no charge on the neutron, so the charge of neutron is taken as 0. Okay. And if you look at the specific charge, that is E by M ratio, it is 0 for neutron, and it is coming out to be 9.58 into 10 to the power of 4, and in the case of electron it is coming out to be 1.76 into 10 to the power of 8. So if you observe the powers on the 10, it is 10 to the power of 4 and this is 10 to the power of 8. 10 to the power of 4 for proton, 10 to the power of 8 for electron. So automatically we can clearly say that E by m ratio value of electron is more than the E by m ratio value of proton. So the values can be seen from this particular table, because we are going to use these values in other numerical calculations. So there may be a comparison can be expected in the question with respect to the proton, electron and neutron. So let us today focus on some of the questions which we can see at a main level. So it is just theory based questions. So theory based question that we can expect in the case of main level examinations. Okay. Yeah, let us move on to that one. First one, who proposed that matter is made up of extremely small particles called atoms? Who proposed that matter is made up of extremely small particles called atoms? As we have seen in the introduction part of atomic structure, the Maharshi Kannada, if we observe, Maharshi Kannada says that the matter is made up of Anu and Paramanu. Okay, they have used the terms Anu and Paramanu. Okay, Anu and Paramanu. Whereas Democritus has said that matter, if you go on divide the matter, you are going to end a particle, end a stage. Okay, you are going to end a particular stage, and you are going to reach a particular stage where the particle size is very, very small, and that particle cannot be divided further. And of course, the atomo, according to Greek terminology, atomo means an indivisible particle, the particle which cannot be further divided. So further division is not possible, so that particle is taken as atoms. But of course, using the concepts of Indian philosophers and the Greek philosophers, Dalton has given the atomic model. So the first atomic model was given by, or atomic theory you can say. So atomic theory that is given by John Dalton says, the first point itself says that every matter is made up of extremely small indivisible particles called atoms. So that is the statement given in John Dalton's atomic theory. So according to the particular question, you can say that John Dalton is the correct answer. Okay. Of course, Democritus has also given the concept that atoms are present, or the particles which are indivisible. But theoretically, when you look at the proposition that is given by John Dalton in his atomic theory, he has proposed it and he has published it, and in his publication, in his atomic theory, he says that the matter is made up of very small particles, extremely small particles called atoms. So the correct answer for this particular case is Dalton. Okay. So John Dalton is the correct answer. Option 2 is correct. Right. Next one. Elements are made up of very small particles of matter called. Elements are made up of very small particles called atoms. What are they? Atoms. So option A is the correct. Here for example, if I take a hydrogen element, hydrogen in nature is existing as a H2 molecule. Okay. So when we look at a hydrogen element is made up of hydrogen atoms. So it is made up of hydrogen atoms only. Similarly, if I look at the oxygen element is made up of oxygen atoms. Okay. Similarly, if we look at the carbon element, in the case of carbon element, the carbon element is made up of carbon atoms. So the matter element here it can be taken as a matter is made up of very small particles called atoms. Okay, it is not element, compound and mixture. When we get compound here, compound is obtained by the combination of elements. When we get compound is obtained by combination of elements. So when elements combine together in a fixed proportion, we are going to end up with the formation of compound. Okay. When elements are combining together in fixed proportion, we are going to end up with the formation of compounds. Okay. So, compound is combination of elements with a fixed proportion. Of course, the proportion will be fixed. For example, if I am going to take water, how water can be prepared in the laboratory? By taking hydrogen and oxygen gases. When hydrogen and oxygen gases are passed through a chamber in which electric current is given, supplied, automatically these gases, hydrogen and oxygen, will combine together and form water molecule. So, formation of water, we know water is a compound. When you observe water, water is H2O. What is the formula of water? It is H2O. So, in case of H2O, if we observe, we have 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. So, presence of 1 hydrogen and 1 oxygen. When you observe the mass ratios, so always hydrogen and oxygen will react in 1:8 ratio. So, the combination of elements will take place in a fixed proportion by weight, and it will result in the formation of a compound. So, compound is a combination of elements. Mixture, what is mixture then? So, if we observe this mixture is nothing but it is a combination of pure substances, okay, combination of pure substances, in any ratio, there is no particular ratio that we have to take, you can take any ratio. For example, if you are taking a glass of water, okay, and to this you are adding sugar, okay. So, when we are adding sugar, if you are taking 1 glass of water, okay, 1 glass of water and 1 spoon of sugar you can add, okay, 1 spoon of sugar you can add, or you can take 1 glass of water, add 2 spoons of sugar, or 1 glass of water you can add 3 spoons of sugar. So, the combination is not fixed, it should not be 1:1 ratio, it can be 1:1, 1:2, 1:3, or you can also take 1:1.5, etc. 1:2.5, you can go in any ratio, you can apply in any way, okay. Thereby you can use the combination of pure substances to result mixture, okay. Mixture is a combination of 2 or more pure substances mixing in any ratio resulting in the formation of a mixture. Mixture can be homogeneous as well as heterogeneous, okay. So, it is not mixture, it is not compound, it is not element. So, elements generally made up of atoms. So, what is correct answer? A is the correct answer in this case, atoms, okay. Yeah, can you answer this one? According to the Dalton's atomic theory, atoms of different dash are different in all respects. Atoms of dash are different, atoms of different dash are different in all respects. So, this is the third postulate of Dalton's atomic theory. Can you please recall, can you please answer which is the correct answer among the given 4 options, okay. I will come back in 1 second, okay. Yes, according to the Dalton's atomic theory, atoms of different dash are different in all respects. Atoms of elements, atoms of different elements are different in all respects, okay. So, what is the first postulate? According to Dalton's theory, the first postulate is matter is made up of very small particle, extremely small particles called atoms, okay. And second postulate is atoms of an element of a same element are same in all respects. They are going to have same physical properties, same chemical properties. So the properties are going to be same for atoms of an element, of one element. Okay. But if you go for the atoms of different elements, okay, atoms of different elements are different in all respects. Okay, they will have different masses. Different in all respect means it is with respect to the mass, maybe with respect to the size, etc. The properties, okay, mass, properties, sizes, etc. So density, everything get different for different elements. So atoms of different elements are going to exhibit different properties, and atoms of different elements will combine to give compound atoms. According to Dalton, he named the molecule as, or he named the compound as compound atoms. Okay, and always the combination takes place in a particular ratio. Okay, and atoms can neither be created nor destroyed is one more point. And the point that is still today valid is the atom is the particle which is going to take part in the chemical reaction. So these are the different postulates given by Dalton. Okay, so this is the third postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. He stated that atoms of different elements are different in all respects. Okay. Charge of electron in coulombs. Charge of electron in coulombs. So we know that in case of electron, we can have two charges. With the charge of electron we can give in two ways, that is minus 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. Okay. Or if we are going to write in terms of electrostatic units, we can write it as minus 4.8 into 10 to the power of minus 10 electrostatic units. In relative way we can take it as minus 1. Okay. So the charge of electron, in terms of coulombs is minus 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19. Okay. And if we observe the first one here, first one if we observe, it is 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19, but the sign here is positive. So this is the charge of proton, this is the charge of proton. So charge of proton is plus 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs is the charge of the proton. But here if you observe, it is minus 4.802, but 10 to the power of minus 10 you should have. 10 to the power of minus 10, then the value will be ESU, electrostatic unit. But here the value is given as 10 to the power of minus 19, so this cannot be considered. And mass electron charge is not 0. So charge of electron is, the option B is correct, it is minus 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs. In terms of coulombs, this is the value. In terms of electrostatic units, you can take the value as minus 4.8 into 10 to the power of minus 10 electrostatic units, or in relative we can take it as minus 1. Okay. Yeah. Can you please answer this one? The correct statement about proton is, you have to choose the correct statement about proton. Of course, most of the questions what we are going to discuss today are theory based. Okay, what we have discussed, theory concepts. At advanced level we can expect little numericals and calculations, but today we are discussing about the main level, so most of the questions will be on theory basis. You should be strong at theory also, because in the case of examination they may give you a statement which will confuse you. So you should be very careful with respect to the statements given on theory basis also. So you should be strong in theory as well as the application point of view, right. So here the correct statement about proton is, it is a nucleus of a deuterium. Is it a nucleus of a deuterium? Second option is given, it is an ionized hydrogen atom, ionized hydrogen atom. It is an ionized hydrogen molecule, it is an ionized hydrogen molecule. It is an alpha particle. So among the given statement, which is correct about a proton? As we have discussed in the case of discovery, of the positively charged species. So, whenever we are going to supply the discharge tube, how the scientists have done the experiment, they have taken the discharge tube, it is completely closed, we in that two metal plates are included, and one side we have connection with the vacuum pump, so that the pressure can be reduced, and the two metal plates are connected to the battery, thereby we can supply the electricity into the tube. Okay. They have taken a gas into the discharge tube, reduced the pressure to 0.0001 mm of mercury, and 10 to the power of 4, that is 10,000 volts electric current is made to pass through the electrodes. So, automatically as soon as the electrodes are passing that amount, a huge amount of electricity to the gas, what happens? The gas will take the energy given to it and undergo dissociation. So, whenever, for example, if the gas taken in the discharge tube is hydrogen gas, okay, let us take a hydrogen gas into the discharge tube. So, automatically what happens? It will convert into corresponding hydrogen atoms. See here, hydrogen gas means how the hydrogen gas is formed by the combination of two hydrogen atoms. Two hydrogen atoms are connected by a single bond. Okay. So, when you are supplying energy, what happens? The bond is going to be broken down. So, we are going to get two hydrogen atoms. These two hydrogen atoms further undergo ionization, and they form the corresponding H plus ion, and electron is released from the hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atom, it has one electron and one proton. Okay. So, that one electron that is present is released. Okay. One electron is released, and thereby it is having positive charge. As we have discussed, a neutral atom, when it loses an electron, converts into a positively charged species called cation. So, here hydrogen atom losing the electron, converting into positively charged species, that is called as H plus is called as proton. We call H plus as proton. Okay. So, the proton is nothing but H plus. Okay. So, here hydrogen atom is losing, hydrogen atom is undergoing ionization and giving the proton. Okay. So, therefore, if you observe the given statements over here, it is a nucleus of deuterium. No, deuterium we represent it as D 1 and 2. So, it is going to have one neutron along with one proton and one electron. But in the case of hydrogen, we have one electron and one proton. Okay. So, that electron is lost in the process and giving the proton. So, proton is from hydrogen atom, not from the deuterium atom. So, this statement is wrong. Okay. It is an ionized hydrogen atom. Yes, it is an ionized hydrogen atom. Hydrogen atoms, first of course, hydrogen molecule will undergo ionization giving hydrogen atoms, neutral atoms. Neutral atoms further undergo ionization will give us the H plus and electrons. So, here bond dissociation is taking place in the first step, ionization is taking place in the second step. So, proton is an ionized of hydrogen atom. So, first the statement B is the correct statement. C, if we observe statement C, it is an ionized hydrogen molecule. No, it is not an ionized hydrogen molecule. It is the proton is coming from the atom, not from the molecule. If the molecule is having a positive charge, we does not call it as a proton. H is called as H plus is called as proton, but not the H2 plus. Okay, H plus is called as proton, but not the H2 plus. H2 plus we cannot call it as proton. Okay, so therefore it is not an ionized from hydrogen molecule. The statement third is also wrong. It is an alpha particle. What is alpha particle? Alpha particles we write it as helium. Helium with two positive charges is taken as two positive charges is taken as alpha particle. Alpha is particle is nothing but it is helium atoms. Okay, helium atoms are present in is generally taken as alpha particle. So, alpha particle means helium with two positive charges, but not the proton. So, therefore, it is not an alpha particle. Okay, proton is an ionized hydrogen atom. In the case of hydrogen gas that we are going to take in the discharge tube, first hydrogen gas will be dissociating, the bond is going to broken down and we get hydrogen atoms. Hydrogen atoms further undergo ionization will give us ionized form of hydrogen atom, that is what we call it as proton. Okay. So, the second option is the correct statement about the proton. Yeah, E by m value of proton. So these values you have to remember, E by m value of proton. So in related to the proton, neutron and electron, if you are going to compare, how it is going to be compared? E by m value of proton is less than E by m value of electron, is equal to E by m value of electron, is greater than E by m value of electron, is equal to 0. So which is correct? Less than E by m value of electron or greater than E by m value of electron, or it is equal to the E by m value of electron. So first let us write the electron E by m value. Electron E by m value, we know what is electron charge. In terms of charge, if you take, it is 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs by mass value, it is 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 28 grams. So when you go for solve it, you will get around 1.78 into 10 to the power of 8 coulomb per gram in the case of electron. Okay. Similarly, if we are looking for proton, proton E by m value if you take, so E by m value of proton, it is 1.6022, the charge is same in case of proton and electron, divided by mass of the this one, it is 1.673 into 10 to the power of minus 24 grams, 24 grams. So we are going to get around 9.58 into 10 to the power of 4 coulomb per gram, coulomb per gram. So when you take the values, one value is coming out to be 1.78 into 10 to the power of 8, other is coming out to be 9.58 into 10 to the power of 4. Okay. So when you take these two values, and if you want to compare, you have to compare with respect to the powers. Okay. So don't look at the 1.78 and 9.58. 9.58 is more, so automatically you can say the proton E by m value is more than that of the electron. No, that is not the way to compare. So you have to look at the powers here. So here in the case of proton, the power is 10 to the power of 4 only, whereas in the case of electron, the power is coming out to be 10 to the power of 8. So the 10 power is 8 in the case of electron and 10 power is 4 in the case of proton, which is smaller. 10 power 4 is smaller. So automatically we can say that E by m value, E by m value of proton is less than that of the electron. E by m value of proton is less than the electron. So when you observe the value, E by m value of proton is less than E by m value of electron, option A is the correct option in this particular case. Option A is correct. So it is not equal to E by m value of electron, it is not greater than, it is less than the E by m value of electron. Okay. Yeah, E by m value, that is specific charge for a cathode ray. So what is specific charge? E by m value we call it as specific charge. E by m value we call it as specific charge. Specific charge nothing but E by m value only. Okay. So for cathode ray, he has not given whether it is an electron or a proton or a neutron. He says it as a cathode ray. So cathode ray means it should be electron only. Okay. So they are asking us to observe the value of E by m of an electron. Okay. If they are writing, if they are giving us in the form of anode ray, if they ask to calculate the E by m value of anode ray, it is with respect to the proton, it is with respect to the proton. So anode ray value, anode ray E by m value, if they say it is the anode ray nothing but proton, cathode ray means it is electron. So here they are asking the E by m value of electron. If the instead of cathode ray, if they are going to write it as anode ray, it is with respect to the protons. Okay. So that we have to keep it in mind. Yes. Now look at this one. E by m value, that is specific charge of a cathode ray, has smallest value when the discharge tube is filled with hydrogen. When the discharge tube is filled with hydrogen. Second one is constant. Third one is varies with the atomic number of the gas in the discharge tube. Varies with the atomic number of an element forming the cathode ray. So here, as we have discussed that whatever may be the gas that we are going to employ in the discharge tube, in the case of cathode ray experiment, or in case of cathode ray experiment, the particle that are going to produce, the nature of the particle does not depend upon the gas employed. Okay, the nature of the particle that is produced in the cathode rays, that is to say that electron nature does not depend upon the gas employed in the discharge tube, that we have seen. Okay, and when you observe the cathode ray, the anode rays, proton discovery, in that case the nature of the anode ray will depend upon the gas employed in the discharge tube experiment. Okay. So, the nature of electron does not depend upon the gas employed, but the nature of positive particle will depend upon the gas employed in the discharge tube. This is what the information that we have drawn while we are dealing the discovery of electron and proton. So, based on that concept they have framed this question. So, here they say is that the E by m value of electron, the cathode ray means it is simple electron. So, electron is present in all the species, whether you are going to take hydrogen gas or oxygen gas or nitrogen gas or any gas, we are going to get the electron. So, electron is the fundamental particle, universal particle that is present in the case of the atom. Okay. So, if you take the electron, electron is common. For example, if I am going to take a hydrogen gas in the discharge tube experiment, first dissociation takes place, then ionization occur and we get the electron. Okay. If we are taking oxygen gas in the discharge tube experiment, okay, in that case we are going to get the corresponding oxygen atoms by the dissociation, followed by oxygen ion with a positive charge and electron. If we are employing a nitrogen gas in the discharge tube experiment, we get the nitrogen atoms, followed by the ionization of nitrogen atoms takes place and results in the formation of the, so helium will give us helium with a +2 charge and 2 electrons are liberated. Okay. So, whatever may be the gas that we are going to employ in the discharge tube, only one kind of negatively charged particles produced, that is to say that electron is produced whatever may be the gas we are going to employ. Okay. Whatever may be the gas we are going to employ, we are going to get the same cathode ray, that is to say that cathode ray remain constant in all these gases. So, automatically its E by m value also should remain constant. So, the E by m value specific charge of a cathode ray is constant, it will not change, it is going to be remaining constant. Just now we have done the calculation, the value charge minus 1.6022 into 10 to the power of minus 19 coulombs divided by mass of the electron, that is 9.1 into 10 to the power of minus 28 grams. If you divide, we are going to get 1.7 into 10 to the power of 8 coulomb per gram. So, the value will remain constant, this value will not change. So, for electron the value is constant, E by m value is constant. Okay. So, here they are asking about cathode ray, that is for electrons, electron is common, it is a constant in all these gases. If you are going to take hydrogen gas in the discharge tube, electron is produced. If you are going to take oxygen gas in the discharge tube, electron is produced. If the nitrogen gas is taken, electron is produced. If you are going to take neon gas, helium gas, argon gas, electrons are only produced as a negatively charged particle. So, electron is the common particle in all these gases, it is constant. So, automatically its E by m value also constant. So, there is no change in the E by m value, it is going to be remain constant in the this one. But if they are going to ask the same question, except instead of cathode, if they are going to write it as anode, then what happens? E by m value specific charge for a anode, that is for proton, if you compare, it varies with the gas that is taken in the discharge tube. Okay. It is going to be changed with the gas that we are going to take in the discharge tube. Okay. Right. Next question. E by m value is also called as, E by m value is also called as specific charge, it is also called as specific charge. Okay. Nature of anode rays will depend upon anode ray. So, here they have given again anode, anode ray means it is nothing but the positively charged species. Okay. Positive rays, anode rays means positive rays, positive, the ray, the particle which is having positive charge. Okay. So, just now we have seen hydrogen giving us hydrogen with a positive charge. If we are employing oxygen gas, we are getting corresponding oxygen with a positive charge. If we are employing nitrogen gas, the corresponding atom with the positive charge is obtained. If we are using helium gas, the corresponding positively charged species is obtained. So, automatically the nature of anode ray, that is positive rays, will depend upon the gas that we are going to employ. So, depending upon the gas that we are going to employ, the E by M value or the nature of the positively charged rays going to change. Okay. So, nature of anode rays will depend upon nature of the gas filled in the discharge tube. So, A is correct. Nature of the electrode, no. The experiment, whether it is with respect to the discovery of electron or discovery of proton, for supplying electric current, they have taken two metal rods, right. So, they have changed the metal rods also, they have changed the metal rods and they have observed what is going to happen. So, in the case of anode ray tube or in case of cathode ray tube, the metal rod is not going to, the nature of the metals does not affect anything, okay. Only the thing that is affecting in the case of anode rays is the nature of gas. In the case of electrons, it is nothing to do with the gas, nature of the gas, nothing to do with the nature of the electrode that we are employing. Irrespective of the gas that is taken, irrespective of the metal that is employed, only one kind of particle is produced for in the cathode ray experiment tube, okay. But in the case of anode ray experiment tube, depending upon the gas, the corresponding positively charged species are produced. So, nature of anode rays will generally depend upon the nature of the gas filled in the discharge tube. It does not depend upon the electrode, it does not depend upon the metal that is employed. Generally, electrode, how the electrodes are made? Electrodes are made with the metals, okay. So, it does not depend upon the electrode, means it does not depend upon the metal, okay. The voltage in the discharge tube. So, you can apply any kind of voltage, the ionization takes place. So, voltage also does not have any effect, only the nature of the positive species takes place because of, it depends upon the nature of the gas that is going to be employed in the discharge tube. Hydrogen gas giving proton, oxygen giving oxygen cation, nitrogen giving nitrogen cation, helium giving helium cation, okay. So, the nature of the anode rays will depend upon the nature of the gas that is employed. Can you please answer this one? Mass of a neutron is, mass of a neutron is, neutron mass when compared with the proton and electron. Mass of the neutron, what? Same as that of a proton, is it same? Slightly less than that of the proton, it is slightly less than that of the proton, or it is slightly more than that of a proton, or equal to the mass of electron, right. If we are going to take the mass of proton, we can write it as you can write it as in terms of okay. So, it will be 0.07, 1.007 in terms of grams for proton. Mass of electron is coming out to be 0.00055 grams, and mass of neutron, if you compare, it is 1.008 grams. So, here they are asking us to compare the neutron mass with respect to the proton mass and electron mass. So, when you observe the proton mass here, proton mass and neutron mass are approximately more or less same, but if you observe neatly and clearly, you can say that here it is 0.008, it is 1.007. So, the values, the value of this one is more compared with this one. So, we can say that the neutron mass, mass of the neutron is slightly more than that of the proton, it is slightly more than that of the proton, okay. So, slightly more than that of the proton, it is not slightly less than, it is not equal to electron, it is more than that of the proton. So, as we have discussed, the neutron is the heaviest particle among the three fundamental particles, and electron is found to be the lightest particle among the three fundamental particles that we have discussed, right. I think you got a clear idea how the questions will be given in the case of main level examination. So, prepare accordingly. We will discuss the advanced level questions in the next upcoming class. Until then, have a nice time, ma. Thank you.